Hey, welcome to the channel. It's Friday morning about 8 o'clock. Weather's beautiful up here. No rain, just a nice breeze coming up, and I thought I'd come up to the city. I'm up in the Hiya district, which is about 2 kilometers south of Chiang Mai gate. It's a really nice area. It's kind of been left alone, and you really get a feel of what Chiang Mai is really like. And I want to thank everybody that's joined the channel. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe and listen to the stories and see the streets and hear some interesting stuff. Somebody had asked me a while back if we have water treatment plants here in Chiang Mai, and I really wasn't sure. I'm sure they do, but I don't know if they treat the sewer water or what it is. But right now we are out in front of a water treatment center. And we're pretty good distance away from the river, so I don't think they're taking water out of the river. But we'll start walking. Today I got a lot of times, a lot of the stories you hear are about, foreigners that get into bad relationships and get done wrong. Well, I got to tell you, there's a lot of foreigners that come up here and get into a relationship that the Thai lady takes the brunt of it and gets into a bad situation. I'm going to tell you about a guy today that could be the poster child for prophylactics. He just really amazed me when I read this story, and it's really it's not a good story. It's kind of heartbreaking, and I can't even put words into it. When you hear the story, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But the guy's name is and he was a computer programmer from Colorado in his early 30s. And back in 2017, latter part of 2017, he comes up to not to Chiang Mai. He goes to Phuket for vacation. And while he's there, he meets this girl, and she's a maid in one of the hotels, and develops a relationship with her. And I guess they keep in contact online quite some time. But anyway, sometime in 2018, I assume, the article doesn't say, but I assume from everything that I'm reading, he applies for a K-1 visa to come to the United States. And it doesn't really say when she arrives. Based on the time frames and the time that it takes to get a K-1 visa, I'm thinking probably sometime around mid-2018 she arrives in Colorado. And then from that point on, they've got 90 days to get married, which they did. And the thing about it is, when these girls come to the United States, they don't have any family, they don't have any support. They're basically dependent on the person who brings them there. And I ran into the same thing with Lek. She was very, very homesick. It took her a long time to get acclimated, and it was a challenge to keep her happy and keep her mind set. And I'm sure this girl ran into the same situation. So she's 100% totally dependent upon him for about everything. And sometime, I guess the relationship kept going, and they got married and living together. And he comes home one night, and this is in late 2019. He comes home one night, and according to him, now this is the way he puts it, she was getting very cold, wasn't very responsive, and he came home one night wanting sex, and she wasn't in the mood. I'm gonna stop my story here for a minute, and I'm gonna tell you about this place. This is Kasoi Lung Prakit Kad Kum. This place was featured in Somebody Feed Phil, and he came here and had cow soy. Lek and I ate here about 2 weeks ago. It's pretty good. But anyway, on with the story. They get into an argument, and she apparently tries to get on her telephone to call somebody. He grabs the phone, beats her with the phone, and then he pulls out a gun, and he's threatening to kill her with a gun, and she gets the gun away from him, and somehow or another about 2 shots go off through the wall. He freaks out, she freaks out. Anyway, she by that time had already called the police, and he's doing his best before the police get there to cover up the bullet holes. And by the time they get there, you know, he wasn't able to hide the evidence, and they saw the bullet holes, and she told him what happened. And she also told him that 2 weeks before that, prior to that, he had tried to strangle her. And anyway, they lock him up, take him to jail, and he goes to court. And by the time he gets to court, she doesn't want to testify against him. So they end up they charge him with attempted murder and about 2 other felony counts. But being that she won't testify, the only thing that they can do is rely on the officers' testimonies. So they were only able to convict him of 2 charges of assault. And what they did, they gave him 2 years probation. And I'm assuming they pretty much got back together after that. Oh, there's a little market down in there. They got pretty much back together and, you know, still living together. And 2020, December 2020, he's in a car with a guy, and they get stopped in traffic by the police. And the guy that's in the car with him is also a convicted felon. He had just been convicted of robbery and burglary and assault. And they find 74 guns in the car. Why they're carrying 74 guns, I have no clue. It doesn't really say. But anyway, they lock him up. They lock both of them up. And he's able to make a bond. They charge him, it's kind of strange how they charged him. They charged him with like 4 felony counts. And then they charged him with 74 counts of violation of an order of protection. So that pretty much tells me that part of his probation was that he could not be around guns. And it was probably in the order of protection. Now, usually with an order of protection, the parties aren't living together, but I don't see that here. I think they were probably still living together, but the order of protection, the order of protection was still in effect. So he makes bond. They charge him, I think it was $1,500 for every felony count, and he was able to make bond and get out of jail. Well, he's facing some hefty jail time. You know, they're going to revoke his probation. He's probably going to do about 2 to 3 years in the pen, which he rightfully he deserved. He deserved a whole lot more than that. But he decides to take off. Now, it's unclear whether she came to Thailand first and then he followed her, or they both came together. The story doesn't say that, and I can't really find any documentation where they came separately. So I'm going to assume they both came together. And He lands in Thailand sometime around the January of 2021, and they rent a house up in Nan where her parents, or at least her mother, lived, doing their laundry. Hello. This guy was out here. This is the third time I've tried to make this video. The first time I tried to make it, it started raining, and when I got back to the house, I had water spots all over the lens, so I had to come back again. Came back and the camera malfunctioned, so this is trip number 3. Hello, how are you?
Morning.
Good morning. So they rent a house up in Nan, close to her mother's, and sometime, I'm thinking sometime in March, he comes home and they get into another argument. Now there's 2 stories of what the argument was about, and one of them's coming from him and one of them's coming from another standpoint. He says that she was getting real cold and she was trying to throw him out of the house, and she didn't want to have sex with him, you know, and they got into an argument. The other story is that he bought a motorbike and she got upset about it. Well, they get into an argument and he ends up stabbing her and he kills her. Just crazy stuff. Well, the mother is trying to reach her on the phone for about 2 days, and she doesn't answer her phone. So she goes to the house to check on her daughter. And as she pulling up to the house, he's taking off. He's taking off on a motorbike, and he's got a bag packed. And she goes inside the house, and she finds blood. And immediately, you know, calls the police. The police come out. Oh, you sweet doggy. Hey, buddy. Just chilling out. And anyway, the police come. They go inside the house, and the whole place is just blood everywhere. And they search around the house, and they find an old bloody mattress that had been drug out the back door. So apparently had probably happened a couple days prior to her mother coming and checking on her. Well, they don't have a body, so they call in search dogs, and they get after him. Now, like I've said in many of the videos, Thailand has the most sophisticated closed-circuit television that I've ever seen anywhere. I mean, they can track you and quite a long distance. Well, anyway, they started checking the closed-circuit TV, and they track him on the motorbike all the way to Hang Dong, which is where I live. And they follow him, you know, through the cameras, and they go and lock him up. And get away from these dogs. They lock him up. They find him at some house, held up, and he's got some scratches on his legs and stuff, and just they take him back to Nan. In the meantime, they've already found the body. He had put the body in a trash bin and pushed it off into the woods. And his story was that, you know, she was combative, and, you know, he had to do this and had to do that. They had got into a pretty good fight. But anyway, he pretty much confessed to killing her, which, you know, he's looking at the death penalty, and if he doesn't confess, that's what he'll get. If he confesses, he'll probably get life, and he hasn't been sentenced yet. I've checked. I can't find where he's been sentenced. He definitely didn't make bond, that's for sure. So he's still incarcerated somewhere, and as soon as I find out what the sentence is on it, I'll update the video. But you know, people wonder how he got into the country as a fugitive. Well, he really didn't become a fugitive until he left the country. That's when he became a fugitive from the charges in Colorado. And when you come into the United States, when you come from the United States and apply for your visa here in Thailand, if you're married to a Thai person, they don't check your criminal history. I ran into that, you know, when I came, because I questioned that, and they said, no, we don't require a criminal history check for people who are married to Thais. So that's pretty much how he got in. Now, had he kept his nose clean and not murdered his wife, he probably could have lived here a long time, because I doubt very seriously, they would have figured out where he was eventually, but I doubt very seriously for the charges that he was facing in the United States, they would have extradited him back to the United States. But a real piece of work, and you know, I'll put pictures up of what he looked like when this first started in totally different, looks like a totally different person. So something happened, whether it was alcohol or drugs or whatever, fueled this rage in him. You know, it's hard to say. But, you know, there are a lot of bad foreigners that come here. And they come here with an attitude that they're going to find a wife that's going to be obedient to them and, you know, do everything they say and just be the, you know, in a better term, their slave. And when they find out that's not necessarily the case, then, you know, they don't know how to deal with it. And you know, it's not like that. You know, you've got to have. Wow, that's pretty neat. You've got to have. It's a two-way relationship. It's not a one-way relationship. But it ended up real bad for this girl. And to turn it out, they did an autopsy on her, and she was 3 months pregnant, which just breaks your heart. I can't fathom how something like that could happen. I mean, I've worked a lot of homicide cases through the years, and some really brutal ones and horrific ones. You know, my question always is what kind of a person, didn't get by me, what kind of a person could do that to another person? And all I can say is a monster. Whether he was always a monster, I don't know. You know, the thing that kind of perks my curiosity is why he was caught with another guy with 74 guns in the car. I mean, there's something there. Whether he was part of a group of people, or a white supremacist group, I don't know. But there's got to be a reason for him having 74 guns in the car. But we'll probably never know the answer to that. Wow, it's a beautiful temple. We'll take a short walk through this temple. I'll show you that. But that's my story for today, and I've got a couple more like that where the foreigner's the real bad guy. And absolutely no doubt in my mind that in this situation, that was the case here. And personally, I hope, I'm not a real fan of the death penalty, and I'll tell you why. I think it's too easy. I would be more happy to see somebody spend the rest of their life in the penitentiary in harsh conditions than let them be put to death. Yeah, that's almost like giving them a rest that they don't deserve. Wow, this is really beautiful. Swaddy Cop. Can I video you too? It's okay if I video you? Take your picture? Thank you. Thank you. But, you know, I read that and it just kind of jerked my heart out. You know, here's a girl thinking she's found her dream husband, going to come to the United States and have a new life, and you know, everything just turns to crap real quick. This is really a beautiful temple. I have not been through here before, other than on my previous walks making the video that I attempted to make that didn't work. I've not really explored this one. You know, my thing that I tell guys that you know, want to find a wife in another country is really think about it. Cross-cultural relationships are very, very trying. You know, and you've got the language barrier, you've got the culture differences. And although it seems like a great idea, it's a lot of work, you know. I mean, probably the first 5 years of Lek and I being married, you know, I mean, we got along fine. We didn't really have any issues. But the cultural differences were hard to understand. You know, she lived in the United States with me for 6 years, so she was able to see firsthand the differences. And so it made it a lot easier. But for me to understand her culture, you know, it was a challenge. And that's something, when you marry somebody, you have to accept it. You know, we've been married 18 years and we know each other pretty well now. But anyway, we'll get back out here on the street. But I feel sorry for that girl, and I feel sorry for her family. I don't feel sorry for him. You know, I can't imagine. I cannot imagine somebody doing something like that. I mean, how much of a rage and how much of an argument can you get into that would cause you to take a knife and stab somebody? I don't know. You know, in self-defense, it's a different story. You know, in a match physical fight, it's a different story. But, you know, you take a man against a woman, you know, do you need a knife? You know, I've seen some pretty big girls before, but, you know, I'm not to the point where I have to defend myself with a knife. But I just, those were two things, when I was a police officer, were two things that I had absolutely no tolerance of, and that was beating your wife and beating a child. Back in the old days, and I'll admit this, a lot of times we took care of it before it got to the jail. And this is really nice. All kinds of old stuff in here. That is cool. Hey, buddy. Statue of Liberty. But, you know, these girls have dreams, and hopefully they come true, you know. But for this girl, it obviously didn't, and it's just kind of heartbreaking. There's a lot of old buildings on this road. And we'll keep walking down south. I've walked this before, but I walked it from a different angle. But that's my story for today, and you know, You read about domestic violence everywhere, in every country and in every culture. And it's never easy to read about. And it's not always the man who's the aggressor. You know, look at it, sometimes it's the woman. But in any case, it's wrong. Physical violence, just there's no place for it. If you can't talk through your issues, then you just need to go your separate ways. And you know, the thing that you have to think about, when she was in the United States, she had to depend on him for everything. You know, place to live, what to eat, where to go, and you know, after a period of time, hello, you know, they get acclimated. It took like probably about 2 or 3 years where, you know, she was driving, she was working, she pretty much taking care of herself. And one of the major things that we had right off the bat, she had to have her food. Now, in the South, in Tennessee, you think, you know, oh, we got a problem. But, hello. Okay. But I was able to find an Asian food store about 30 miles south of where we lived, and we made relatively frequent trips down there to get her food. And that's also how she met her friends down there. And I'll tell you a story about one of them as well that did not turn out well in one of the next videos. And really a horror story. So, you know, these guys that come over here and marry Thai women, you know, they talk about, you know, being taken and losing everything they have. Well, this poor girl, she lost everything. She lost her life. And just so senseless. I don't know what this guy's plan was. You know, it's somewhere between 120 to 150 kilometers from Nan to Hangdong. I don't know if they said that he had come here because there are more foreigners here and it was easier for him to blend in. So I don't know what his plan was. You know, he might have been able to escape down into Malaysia or something like that, but anywhere he goes, he was a wanted man. He's wanted in the United States and he's wanted here in Thailand as well. So he pretty much signed his fate that day. This is a really neat area. Let's look down this road. Huh. Yesterday when I came by here, there was a guy out here roasting chicken. Hello. Looks like just about everybody's left and made it to work. It's one thing, but between 7 and 8 o'clock here, you get oh yeah, he's got the chicken out. You get the rush of everybody on their motorbikes going to work. We walk across the street here. And you get your local gold shop, your fried banana, and you get your chicken. It smells really, really good. 150 baht. All your vegetables. a nice breeze today. Hello. Get your drink shop right in there. I will come down here and walk through that market one day. Looks like it's pretty big. Also feels like it's going to rain. But anyway, I'm going to end the video out right here because this is just a little ways from where we started. And again, I want to appreciate everybody that's come to the channel and left good comments and click like and all that. I really appreciate that. The channel's growing a lot faster than I ever thought it would. And hopefully I can keep bringing you decent stuff, and we'll get back to the house.